Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford. We've just got to go out and get the fights to show how great he is.
Jaron Ennis surprised the boxing world when he gave his honest thoughts about Terence Crawford's place in history.
That's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as, like, when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so...
I understand it, but don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So
right.
I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net.
That's a good fight. That's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. Probably at middleweight or something. That's like a vacant belt. That's definitely up there. That's definitely a big fight. Probably Shakur and Tank too, maybe. That's like right on the scene. But yeah, that's that. You might not be lying. That might be the biggest fight.
Instead of putting the three-division undisputed champion among the all-time greats, the rising star admitted that he simply doesn't see Crawford in that category, even though fans and analysts have been calling him one of the greatest to ever lace up the gloves after his monumental win over Canelo Alvarez. For Ennis, his personal favorites remain legends from the past like Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, and Sugar Ray Leonard. While many were stunned that he didn't rank Crawford higher, the young American made it clear he has his own list of icons and Crawford just isn't on it.
With this win, everybody said Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinion.
What's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard. David Tony. They my top guys that I've been watching.
Fair enough.
The timing of Ennis' comments only added fuel to the ongoing debates because Crawford had just pulled off one of the most historic victories in boxing history. Earlier this month, he moved up and defeated Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez by unanimous decision to capture the undisputed super middleweight championship. That win placed him in a class of his own as the first male fighter in history to win undisputed titles in 3 different divisions. The fight itself was one of the most anticipated in recent years, with heated debates leading up to it about whether Crawford's size disadvantage would cost him against the bigger man. But when the night came, the Omaha native proved once again that skill and ring IQ can outweigh power and size, as he outclassed Canelo and added another defining chapter to his legacy.
He threw a shot and we landed at the same time. I looked at him and I told him yeah, you felt that. I was just letting him know that it's gonna be a long night.
Last 30 seconds of the fight, what was going through your mind then?
Close it out, just close it out. If I didn't have that mindset of finishing the fight and making sure that I close it out, then it would have been a draw. Being that I wasn't the champion, I was the challenger, I wanted to make sure that the judges see that I was in control from the beginning to the end. And I just knew it was gonna be my day. I came out smiling. I don't never come out smiling. I'm always focused. I was ready for whatever he brought. I was just in the moment.
However, for Ennis' admiration doesn't automatically translate to ranking someone as one of the all-time greats. The Philadelphia native, who has already unified titles at welterweight, is focused on carving his own path. Next month, he'll be moving to super welterweight for the first time, where he faces Portugal's Weissel Lima at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Interestingly, one fighter who didn't hesitate to recognize Crawford's greatness was Roy Jones Jr., another name Ennis actually mentioned as one of his favorites. Jones, himself a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest of his era, was asked who he currently considers the best fighter in the world. Despite recent wins from Alexander Usyk and Naoya Inoue, both pound-for-pound staples, Jones insisted that Crawford sits at the very top. He said, "Right now, I have to go with Crawford because of how much he climbed. He climbed a little more than Usyk did. Generally, guys at lower weights are a bit more skillful than the higher weights." Usyk is highly skilled for his divisions, but Crawford had to be more skilled. He came from 135 to 160. It's a bigger field of domination, so you get a lot more skill in that field. I give it to Crawford, but Usyk is a close second. Could be 1A and 1B. Both are very high-tech guys. But the comparisons didn't stop with Usyk and Inoue. Following his win over Canelo, fans began to ask whether Crawford had surpassed Floyd Mayweather, who retired undefeated at 50-0 and is widely considered one of the greatest fighters of all time. It was the type of debate that often divides boxing circles, and Crawford himself was asked directly if he now ranked himself higher than Mayweather. Crawford's response reflected both humility and respect. Instead of claiming the throne, he made it clear he had no interest in comparing himself to Mayweather. In his eyes, Mayweather is one of the greatest ever, the defining fighter of his own era, while Crawford considers himself the defining fighter of today's generation. Crawford went on to credit Mayweather for setting the blueprint that fighters like him were able to follow. From the work ethic to the discipline, Mayweather's career gave Crawford a model of how to reach the very top.
Everyone is going to start making comparisons with your legacy to Floyd Mayweather. How do you feel you compare with Floyd with the resume you have now?
Listen, Floyd was the greatest in his era. I'm the greatest in my era. It ain't no need to compare me to Floyd or Floyd to me.
While Crawford continues to dominate headlines, his longtime trainer Brian "Bo-Mac" McIntyre has given some insight into how much longer fans will get to see him in the ring. McIntyre, who has been with Crawford since his debut in 2008, suggested that the 38-year-old still has 2 or 3 fights left before hanging up the gloves. The trainer admitted that Crawford made his win over Canelo look almost effortless and hinted that the team is already thinking about what's next. Among the possibilities is a move down to middleweight, where Crawford could challenge Janibek Alimkhanoglu, the unified WBO and IBF champion. The hard-hitting Kazakh has already welcomed the idea of a fight and sees it as an opportunity for Crawford to try for a 6th weight class title.
As his trainer, do you feel like he should just sail off into the sunset after this monumental
Well,
win?
you know what? They made it look so easy. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit, got 2-3 more in him and shit. You know what I'm saying? Train camp will try harder. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think a move to 160 would make sense?
I mean, if you want to do it, you know, it'd be a challenge. If you want to challenge yourself, yeah, I don't mind.
They make them 5 weight divisions. There's not many people there.
That'd be great.
Oscar and Manny.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If not, do you think he stays at 160? Would you want to see him stay at 160?
I don't know. We'll see.
In terms of just overall, I know a lot has been said about Terence now being amongst the greatest fighters in history. Where do you rank him? Should we rank him like that? Is it difficult because, you know, eras?
No, I'll say when you say all the best, name the best fighters ever in the history of boxing, you're gonna have to say Ray Robinson. You're gonna have to say Jack Dempsey. Then you gotta say Terence Crawford. He's up there. He's definitely up there.
Speculation over Crawford's next move doesn't stop there, though. One of the most intriguing names to call him out recently is Sebastian Fundora, the towering WBC light middleweight champion, who stands at 6'5.5". Fundora admitted he was rooting for Canelo in their fight simply because of the size difference, but he also acknowledged that Crawford's ring intelligence was what carried him to victory. Despite his height and reach advantage over most opponents, Fundora made it clear he would be happy to welcome Crawford back down to 154 pounds if that's where the Omaha fighter decides to go. At the same time, he has also acknowledged that Crawford may be looking more forward and toward 160.
From what I saw, I think he's going back to 160, but
yeah,
we welcome. Why not?
Gabby, for you on the weekend, I know you're a big supporter of boxing and whatnot, and I think I've actually seen Crawford speak about you sometimes in interviews. What did you think of the fight, and were you rooting for Canelo, or did you think that Crawford could do it?
I was also rooting for Canelo, but again, going off Sebastian, that it was Crawford fought smart. Crawford fought smart. He knew his range and his shots, and he felt comfortable that there was times where he was fighting in the inside with Canelo and he was getting the better shots. So I think he felt comfortable in that division, and he'll probably stay there. Maybe go down one weight class down, but who knows? Props to him. They're 2 icons in the legend in the sport of boxing.
Well said. Do you think the rematch needs to happen? What's the next fight for Crawford for both of you? What do you think that, you know? Is it a rematch or?
It probably won't be a rematch. I don't think so. There's no need. There's no reason to.
It didn't look like he Canelo wanted that rematch, honestly. But Crawford could do whatever he wants right now. He can go up if he wants to. He can go down. I hear there's talks of him and Benavidez. So you know, there's all kinds of names that are coming. Yeah, are coming out for Crawford. Crawford is the #1 in the sport right now. So you know, everything. He has everything right now.
All the best.
While the attention is heavily in Crawford, the fallout from his fight has been just as dramatic for Canelo Alvarez. For the first time in 7 years, the Mexican superstar finds himself without a world championship belt. His loss to Crawford was the only third defeat of his career, joining Floyd Mayweather and Dmitry Bivol as the only men to beat him. With 68 fights already under his belt, speculation immediately began about whether the 35-year-old might consider retirement, particularly since his performances in recent years have shown signs that he may no longer be at his peak. However, reports have confirmed that Canelo isn't done yet, though his return will be delayed. He is set to undergo elbow surgery that will keep him out until at least April of next year. That means his planned February comeback in Riyadh will now be pushed to the second or third quarter of 2026. Who he faces upon his return is unclear, but possibilities include a rematch with Crawford, a move up in weight to face David Benavidez, or another high-profile opponent.
Let's start out with Canelo Alvarez. I understand you have an update.
Yes, Max. Canelo Alvarez obviously coming off of that tough loss to Terence Crawford earlier this month. I'm told that he's going to have elbow surgery. He was set to return in February in Riyadh for the third fight of that deal. That fight is now going to be delayed until Q2 or Q3 of 2026. So Canelo's going to have the surgery and then he'll come back.
For people who don't know, what does Q2 and Q3 mean?
The second quarter of the third quarter of the
Second or
year.
third quarter.
April, May, June.
So anywhere between
April
so
and
January,
September.
February, March
Q1
is off. That's Q1. So anywhere from
April to September.
Through September in
Correct.
that area.
In that area, Canelo Alvarez still the face of boxing. Even after the loss, he's going to come back, and the expectation would be it would be in Riyadh. He has 2 more fights remaining on that deal with the Riyadh season.
Legendary fighter and promoter Oscar De La Hoya also weighed in on Canelo's future after the loss. Asked if he believes the Mexican champion is finished, De La Hoya pushed back against the idea that Alvarez is shot and done. He pointed out that Canelo still has the tools to knock out opponents who come forward and engage in the type of fight that suits him best. However, he also suggested that Canelo's career at this point may come down to matchmaking. In other words, it depends on who is put in front of him and whether those fights can still draw money from fans. It's less about whether Canelo has anything left and more about how promoters and managers plan the next steps in his career.
Frustrating. Don't get me wrong. Canelo facing the right opponent that's going to stay in front of him, that's going to fight, that's going to make it a brawl, Canelo knocks him out. So I'm not saying Canelo's shot or done. No, it's far from it. It's all on the matchmaking. It's all who you put in front of him. It's all about squeezing those last dollars from the fans, Canelo. You want to squeeze the fans.
What about the Mexican?
Come on, take it easy on the fans.
Oscar, what about the Mexican monster?
Adding more spice to the discussion, former world champion James Toney gave his take on what could happen if Canelo steps in the ring with David Benavidez. Toney, known for his bold predictions, believes that Benavidez would be the first fighter to stop Canelo inside the distance. In Toney's view, if the two ever meet, Benavidez would knock Canelo out and put him to sleep. Benavidez has already moved up to light heavyweight after failing to secure a fight with Canelo at super middleweight and was elevated to WBC champion earlier this year. His first defense is set to come against Britain's Anthony Yarde in Riyadh this November, but he has kept the door open for a future fight with Alvarez. If it ever happens, Toney is convinced it wouldn't go the distance.
What's stopping from that fight from him facing Canelo? What do you think it's stopping that fight?
Canelo's little nuts.
You think so?
That's all it is. He's scared deaf. Canelo is scared. Scared. You know, he from Benavidez, he get knocked out. He get
like James Toney, a lot of people have said that if Canelo keeps on waiting and waiting for Benavidez, it's actually going to become harder to beat him. Do you agree with that? It's good to Canelo should get him right now because I guess quote unquote he's not fully seasoned. But if he gets him later, Benavidez is going to roll right through him. Do you agree with that?
It don't matter. He gonna roll him right now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If he fights Canelo right now, he's gonna steamroll him. Like how Tommy Hearns did Rafael Cuevas. How Tommy Hearns did Roberto Duran. Same result. I promise you. So that's why that boy Canelo's scared. Him and all his people can do their mariachi bands and stay over in Mexico.
When looking at the bigger picture, the boxing landscape right now is centered around how Crawford's greatness stacks up against both past and present fighters. how Canelo recovers from his defeat, and how rising names like Ennis and Benavidez fit into the mix. As for fans, they are left with multiple intriguing storylines. Crawford chasing even more history with a potential 6th division title, Canelo's comeback path after surgery, Ennis trying to make his mark at a new weight, and Benavidez being labeled as the man who could finally stop Canelo, and no matter how it unfolds, the sport is in the midst of a fascinating moment where the past, present, and future are colliding all at once.